Big. It's huge.
This
Go up.
tender is currently set up to burn fuel oil. Yep. The engine changed back and forth from coal to fuel oil 4 different times during its lifetime, but it would carry 8,000 gallons of water and 5,000 gallons of fuel oil.
Wow.
The fuel oil would get them a couple hundred miles, but the water would only get them about 100 miles. They'd have to hop off.
Wow. Oh. Oh, scary. Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
No,
Look at that.
there's a lot.
Yeah. A lot of gauges, huh?
Yeah, the fireman would sit over here and the engineer would sit over there.
Oh, wow. That's so cool.
Ding, ding.
Everything.
There's
served
a
the
lot.
purpose. We put these tags on here to tell us what each thing did.
That's
But
gonna
back
be
in the day, they wouldn't have those. They just knew.
They knew, huh?
Yeah.
I would be so confused.
I would too, yeah.
Yep.
Oh my God.
So what's that? Is that the also right there?
No, that's actually. Whoops. This is the throttle.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So the throttle opens up the steam valve and sends steam to the pistons. Here is operated by steam pressure, but this is called the reverser.
Okay.
And that moves the linkage on the valve gear to make you go forward or backward. And it also changes the stroke on the valve. When you're starting off, you want full stroke because you want full pressure. But as you get going faster and faster and faster, you don't want it to move so much, so then you can slow it down.
Right, right.
So you open up the throttle once.
Okay.
They
One
usually open it up to like 75 or 80%. And then all their speed was changed with the reverser.
Oh, okay.
And then if they needed to do some fine tuning, they could adjust this valve down here.
Wow.
But that's the brake for the whole train.
Oh, okay.
This is the brake for just the locomotive.
Wow. Okay.
And then this valve here, an ingenious little guy, this is the sander.
Sander. Okay.
So the front dome that says GN on it, you'll see 2 big pipes running out of the bottom of it. One goes in front of the front wheel, the driver wheel, and the other one goes in back of the last driver wheel. They could put sand on the track
Huh.
to gain traction.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Because in reality, the size of a dime, that's all the metal to metal contact you have between the wheel and the rail.
Oh.
It looks like there's a lot more,
Right,
but it's
yeah.
only the size of a dime because everything's round. So tall grass, wet leaves can act as like ice and cause the wheels to slip. So they put, now here's something really cool to show you. So originally when they put the sander on the valves, the engineer would be so busy with stuff he'd forget. And he would run out of sand because he'd leave the valve on. So a mechanic came up with an idea. He drilled a little hole here
Okay.
so that it blew air into the engineer's face to remind him
Oh, that
that
is
the
that's
sander
cool.
was on. Turn me off.
Wow. That's
This little knob here, this would turn the bell on or off. That the bear was operated by, that's called the triple valve.
okay.
So you got 3 shut-off valves here. This valve would monitor the water in the boiler.
Okay.
So inside the boiler, all these bolts and rivets connect to the actual boiler sheeting. and you never ever wanted the boiler to be exposed to the atmosphere. It always had to be underwater. So the fireman's job was to make sure that he kept the boiler full of water.
Oh, right.
The water would go from the tender, would go all the way up to the front of the locomotive and go in so that the cold water is furthest away from the hot water.
Okay,
And
yeah.
then that way it would warm up gradually, start to boil, and then you get steam out of it. But sometimes, you know, you got mineral deposits and stuff in the water. The glass might be bogged up. So they would use this. You open up the top, and if water drained out into here, you're good.
Oh,
If you open the top valve and no water came out,
yeah.
you start sweating a little bit.
Oh.
You open up the second valve, if water came out, thank God, put more water in there. If you got down to the third valve, the oh shit valve, and no water was coming out, you best jump.
Oh no.
Do you want a picture?
A float in the boiler so that if it got down to too low of a level, that whistle would go off as a warning that you better start adding water. Yep. So you had two different well, actually three, because you had a triple valve over there too. But just to try to make sure you didn't screw up and blow up.
Well, preheater. Optimize.
And then this valve here would open up the steam and allow it to go back to the rest of the train.
Oh,
And they would use steam from the engine to run stuff in the kitchen, you know, or some of the other cars. Some cars actually had their own boilers built into them,
okay, yeah.
which was a hazard when a train would derail. If a car would tip over, then they'd catch on fire. All the cars were made out of wood. They had burning boilers going, you know, and you know, oil's going to come from the tender, and then the fireman would use this valve to spray a pointer in the firebox to try to get the oil evenly dispersed throughout the whole firebox,
Oh, right, okay.
so that everything burns evenly and you have an even fire and even pressure distribution.
That's so cool.
So to get up to say 200 psi of operating pressure, water boils at 212 degrees. Sorry, some medicine's kicking my butt. But to get it up to 200 psi, you're going to have a temperature close to 700 degrees.
Wow.
So this is really, really hot.
Yeah.
A lot of times you'll see in the movies, you know, where the engineers are wearing long sleeve shirts in the middle of the summer. That's so that you don't bump up against something and burn yourself. In the winter, it was nice in here. And you had a drape here so you could block the snow and stuff from coming in. But so if you were shoveling coal, there'd be a feet right here, and then you'd have clamshell doors where they would throw the coal in.
So where do they do that? Where?
Well, it would happen here. They'd have a different leader here. The reason they have this one on is because it's burning fuel oil. So that tank you're sitting in front of, this would be all full of sand.
Wow.
Now what they do is, let's see if this rope is still hooked up. Aha. At different periods during the run, they would clean the boiler. So you'd take about 10 scoops of sand and you'd feed it into the boiler.
Oh, wow. Yes, yeah.
Like what kind of sand is it? Like sand? Like this?
Yeah, like white silicon sand.
Wow.
Yep. Now, if you ever go to a museum that has an operating steam train, and they have a really cool outdoor, in the caboose,
Yeah.
yeah, they had like a pot belly stove in there.
Oh, okay.
They would put bags in.
Oh, right.
These are huge. Oh.
So the reversing lever that I was showing you up there would move this.
Oh, yeah.
And then that would change the direction on this contraption, which would then change the amount of stroke going into the valve.
Jeez. It's really an amazing thing, isn't it? I mean,
Yes.
how this is all put together and how it works.
Yeah. And the main drive rods are about 1,000 pounds apiece. And then you see they have counterweights on the wheels
Yeah.
to counter the weight from where they're connected together, so that the wheels are balanced. Now, one of the cool things is the silver part. That is actually the tire.
Oh, okay.
So it's a metal.
Wow.
It's a metal shaved device. So if they ever wore out a tire, got a flat spot on it or whatever, then they would take the wheel off, take it over to the machine shop, and they put it in a big circuit switch.
Huh.
And they would heat the tire up until it was glowing red hot.
Wow.
When it's glowing red hot, it expands, and they could beat it off of the wheel.
Yeah.
They would remeasure a new one, cut the new one, heat it so it was red hot. When it expanded, they'd put it back on the wheel, and then as it cooled, it would shrink itself onto the wheel and lock itself. Wow. Pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And then on the middle wheel there, you can see one of the pipes coming from the sand dome.
Yeah. So cool.
And then here's the other pipe in front of the front wheel. And you can see them going up, and you can see the stairs
Oh, yeah.
going up to that.
Man.
So when we get out to the sand tower, they could get up there and grab it and walk the hose up to there and fill it up. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, yeah.
You have a lot of room to build a big fire.
This one looks like very old.
That one?
Now, that one we just picked up back in October, and that's a wood burner.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It used to run in Florida in the sugarcane fields. That needs a lot of work.
1918. Wow. 1918. More than 100 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got 4 small wheels, and then you got 6 driver wheels, and then 2 trailing wheels. So this is a 4-6-2 arrangement. They call that the Pacific. So you have a 4-6-2 arrangement right here.
Oh.
The biggest engine in the world that's still operating, the Union Pacific Big Boy, is a 4-8-8-4 arrangement. It's tender. It's as big as this. It is gargantuan.
Something else.
If you're on Interstate 80 leaving Iowa going into Omaha, and you look up on top of the hill, they got 2 locomotives sitting on top of the hill, ready to come